Welcome to Science for Sleep, where wonder and calm meet. Each night we drift through galaxies, oceans, and mysteries of the natural world, not to startle, but to soothe. Understanding the black hole we have seen. There is a certain quiet that comes with looking into deep space, not the silence of emptiness, but the quiet of something ancient, steady, and patient. Before we drift into imagination or reflection, we begin with what we can truly say. What has been measured, observed, verified, understood, and still, even in understanding, held with humility. Our focus is a black hole known as M87. The star-like symbol is not decorative. It marks this black hole as a compact object of special concern, the central gravitational anchor of the galaxy Messier 87, located roughly 53 million light-years from Earth. We are not speaking metaphorically when we use distances like this. Light, which moves at about 300,000 kilometers per second, takes millions of years to cross the gulf between galaxies. The light we see from M87 today began its journey when early apes walked upright for the first time on Earth. The image we have of M87 is ancient light, arriving only now. To understand this object, we begin with a definition. A black hole is not a hole at all, but a region of space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. This does not make it a vacuum, nor a place of violent consumption. We sometimes speak about black holes as if they swallow or tear space apart, but the reality is more quiet. A black hole forms when mass collapses into a region so small that the curvature of space-time becomes extreme. Gravity does not behave differently here. It behaves more purely. The boundary around a black hole, the point beyond which escape is impossible, is called the event horizon. It is not a surface. It is not solid or physical. It is simply a coordinate boundary marking where paths through space-time all lead inward. Once something passes that boundary, its future is determined. Not by a force pulling it inward, but by the geometry of space-time itself. This understanding comes from the work of Albert Einstein, who published the general theory of relativity in 1915. The theory describes gravity not as a force, but as the warping of space-time by mass and energy. In the mathematics of this theory, the possibility of a black hole emerges naturally. However, even Einstein found the idea uncomfortable. He suspected the universe would not allow such extremes to form. But nature is not obligated to avoid the uncomfortable. The first person to truly understand the structure of a black hole mathematically was Karl Schwarzschild in 1916. Serving on the Eastern Front during World War I, he wrote down a solution to Einstein's equations that describe the gravitational field around a mass compressed into a single point. The radius of the event horizon for a black hole is now called the Schwarzschild radius. For every mass, there is such a radius. If you compress the object smaller than this radius, a black hole forms. For the Earth, the Schwarzschild radius would be less than 2 centimeters. For the Sun, about 3 kilometers. For M87, the number is much larger. M87 has a mass of about 6.5 billion times the mass of our Sun. This number is vast enough that the mind does not hold it naturally. If the Sun were a single grain of sand, M87 would be a mountain. Because of this mass, the black hole is surprisingly large. The diameter of the event horizon is roughly 38 billion kilometers. To give this scale some grounding, sunlight takes 4.6 hours to travel from one side of the black hole's event horizon to the other. The black hole is not a speck. It is a region larger than the orbit of the planet Neptune around the Sun. Large, but not bright. It emits no light of its own. And yet, we have seen it. We did not see the black hole directly. We saw the light around it. Surrounding M87 is a swirling disk of gas and dust called an accretion disk. As matter spirals inward, it becomes extremely hot. Not from friction, as we normally imagine it, but from complex magnetic and plasma interactions. Temperatures rise high enough that the material emits light at radio wavelengths. This glowing material outlines the shadow of the black hole. The dark center of the image is not the black hole itself, but the absence of light. The region where light can no longer escape. The instrument that allowed us to see this was not a single telescope, but a network of telescopes distributed across Earth, called the Event Horizon Telescope, or EHT. By synchronizing multiple radio observatories around the globe, separated by thousands of kilometers, scientists created a virtual telescope roughly the size of the planet. The larger a telescope's diameter, the finer the detail it can resolve. In effect, humanity temporarily turned Earth into a lens. This technique is called Very Long Baseline Interferometry. Each telescope recorded radio waves arriving from M87 independently and time-stamped the data with atomic clocks. The data were then brought together and combined to produce a final image. The amount of data collected was so large that it could not be transmitted by internet. It was transported physically on hard drives, flown between continents. The resulting image, released publicly in April of 2019, showed a glowing ring with a dark center. Not perfectly circular, not perfectly even. A structure shaped by plasma, magnetic fields, and the rotation of the black hole. This was the first time humanity had seen the silhouette of a black hole. It confirmed predictions built up over a century of theoretical physics. The size of the shadow matched expectations from Einstein's equations with remarkable precision. The image was not sharp in the way ordinary photographs are sharp. It was faint, reconstructed, derived from immense statistical processing. Yet it was real. It was a direct observation of a region where the behavior of space and time differs fundamentally from anything we know in everyday life. After the release, work continued. There were refinements, reprocessings, new models of plasma physics applied to the data. Then, using improved algorithms and new calibration methods, researchers returned to the original 2017 dataset. They re-examined it, reassembled it, and approached it with improved image reconstruction techniques. The new image of M87, released in 2023, is not merely sharper. It provides more detail about the structure of the accretion flow. The ring appears more clearly asymmetric, meaning one side of the disk is brighter. This is not because the black hole emits light, but because the material is moving. The bright side is where plasma is rotating toward us at significant fractions of the speed of light. Motion does not only change location, it alters how light is received, a consequence of relativistic effects. This asymmetry confirms the rotation of the black hole, as well as the direction of angular momentum in the accretion disk. The new imaging analysis also strengthens our estimation of the black hole's mass. The measured range is now more tightly constrained, not significantly different from earlier results, but more precise. Precision is often more meaningful than drama. It means the measurements and the theory continue to agree. The improvements in the new reconstruction also allow us to compare M87 with Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of our own galaxy, imaged in 2022. The two black holes differ in mass by thousands of times, yet the shape of the shadow is consistent. A confirmation that black holes behave the same way across scale, across environment, across cosmic distance. Before we move deeper into the emotional or philosophical significance of seeing a black hole, we stay here for a moment, in the clarity, in what the data say. A black hole is not a monster. It is not a wound in space. It is a region where gravity curves space-time to such an extent that paths lead inward. It is stable. It is patient. It is ancient. It influences stars, gas, and dust in its surrounding galaxy, shaping the motion of entire systems, helping form and regulate star formation. M87 is not a destroyer. It is an anchor, a quiet one, a point around which a galaxy turns. The light around it is the record of matter losing energy, settling deeper into gravity's well, moving according to laws as old as the universe. The darkness at the center is simply where the laws become complete, where certainty ends not in chaos, but in inevitability. We know this object because we have seen it. We know it more deeply because we have measured it. And still, there is mystery, but not the frightening kind, the quiet kind, the light that traveled so far. There is a certain quiet respect in the work that led to the image of M87. It did not come from one observatory, or one research group, or one nation. It came from a collaboration of hundreds of people across the world, all looking toward the same region of sky with patience, discipline, and a shared intention to understand. To observe a black hole is to try to see something that does not emit light. The black hole itself is invisible. What we observe is the light around it, the glow of matter heated as it orbits and spirals inward. This is the accretion disk, a swirling structure of gas and plasma, shaped by gravity, magnetic fields, and motion. The black hole in the galaxy M87 is enormous. But from Earth, it appears extremely small. To resolve an object of that size from such a distance requires a telescope with a diameter as large as the Earth itself. Since building a physical telescope of that scale is impossible, astronomers used a method called interferometry, connecting telescopes around the world into a single network. This network became the Event Horizon Telescope, not one instrument, but many instruments working in harmony. On the surface, interferometry seems simple. You combine signals from multiple points and produce a single, higher resolution image. But the reality is precise and demanding. The signals must be synchronized to trillionths of a second. To achieve this, each observatory used hydrogen maser atomic clocks, keeping time with extraordinary accuracy. During the observing campaign in April 2017, the sky had to be clear across multiple continents at the same time. Weather had to allow continuous data collection. The rotation of the Earth slowly shifted the baselines between telescopes, allowing the network to capture different angular perspectives of the same object. The planet itself was not only the baseline, it was part of the mechanism. As the telescopes recorded radio waves from M87, they encoded information not as images, but as interference pattern. In this form, the data are not immediately visible. They require careful comparison, alignment, calibration, and reconstruction. The data were too large to send through the internet, so hard drives were physically shipped to computational centers. In this age of instant information, the most important image in astronomy in decades traveled by airplane, sealed in foam, carried by hand. The data were processed independently by multiple teams, using different algorithms and different assumptions. This was intentional. Agreement reached by multiple methods is stronger than agreement by a single path. Only once different processing pipelines converged to the same shape, the same ring, the same shadow, did the collaboration agree that they had seen what they had hoped to see. The resulting image was not the final form of understanding, but the beginning of a clearer one. To understand why there is a ring and why one side is brighter, we look more closely at the light near the black hole. Matter in the accretion disk does not fall inward suddenly. It orbits. It spirals slowly, losing energy through interactions with magnetic fields and surrounding plasma. As it falls deeper into the gravitational well, it heats up. Not through friction in the familiar sense, but through compression and twisting magnetic flux. Processes that occur naturally in highly ionized gas. The temperature reaches millions of degrees, producing light at radio frequencies. Light that can be observed by radio telescopes on Earth. But the shape of the ring is also influenced by motion. When material in the disk moves toward us, its light is shifted slightly brighter. When it moves away, it becomes slightly dimmer. This is a relativistic effect, not a trick of perspective. Motion near the speed of light changes how light is received. This is why one side of the ring appears more luminous. The darkness in the center is the shadow of the black hole, not the hole itself, but the region where light no longer reaches distant observers. Photons traveling near the event horizon follow curved paths. Some skim around the black hole on unstable orbits before escaping. Others fall inward. The boundary between those fates forms the silhouette we see. Gravity here is not violent. It is smooth, predictable. The fabric of spacetime is curved, and light follows that curve gently. This is where our tone begins to shift, just slightly. Because to understand the curvature of spacetime around M87 is also to understand that space is not empty. It is structured. It is shaped. And the black hole is not a tear. It is a center of gravity, a quiet one, influencing the motion of entire star systems across thousands of light years. M87 sits at the heart of its galaxy like a stone at the bottom of a deep, calm pool. The stars around it move in long, graceful arcs. Gas clouds swirl slowly, taking thousands of years to complete a single rotation. The black hole does not consume these stars. They orbit it, shaped by its mass. This is not destruction. This is structure. And the galaxy itself, is vast. When we look at M87 from Earth in a telescope, we see a bright elliptical cloud of stars, countless suns, uncountable worlds. And at the center, this dark presence, steady and enduring. The black hole is not the enemy of the galaxy. It is the anchor of the galaxy. Now the movement of the narration begins to broaden. The space around the facts expands. When we look at the light that traveled from M87, we are seeing something old. The photons that reached our telescopes left their source over 50 million years ago. In that time on Earth, continents moved, climates changed, species emerged and disappeared. Everything familiar to us is recent compared to the time it took that light to cross the void. In this way, observing M87 is a kind of time travel. The past has arrived in the present, quietly, without ceremony. And yet, the image feels immediate. It feels present. It feels like something unfolding now. The mind adapts to cosmic scale only slowly. We begin to feel the depth instead of calculating it. The black hole waits at the center of M87 without urgency. It has existed for billions of years. It will exist for billions more. Nothing about it suggests haste. This is where the narration softens further, but still remains grounded. If you imagine the region around M87, do not imagine darkness as something empty or frightening. Imagine a kind of stillness, a region where motion slows as it deepens, where the paths objects take are shaped not by randomness, but by a calm geometry. A black hole does not pull. It does not reach outward. It simply shapes the space around it. Everything moves according to that shape. The stars move like slow rivers. The gas flows like mist, drawn inward along curved lines. Light bends gently, not sharply. It is not chaos, it is order, drawn into simplicity. Everything that happens near the black hole is predictable. Even the apparent mystery is calm. This is not a story of destruction. It is a story of gravity organizing space. Before long, we will begin the deeper journey. The descent, the immersion, the slow movement into the structures of space-time themselves. But for now, we stay here at the threshold of understanding, not rushing, not forcing, simply resting with the knowledge we have. M87 is real. We have seen its outline. We have understood its gravity. We have traced the motion of its light. The universe is vast and deep and quiet. And we are allowed to look into that quiet without fear. Into the gravity well. There is a moment when thinking about a black hole, where the mind naturally tries to picture it as an object, something solid, something circular, something with an edge. But a black hole is not an object. It is a region of behavior, a place where space-time curves so completely that the only paths forward lead inward. To approach understanding is to release the idea of surfaces, to release the idea of boundaries, and to instead feel gravity as shape, not force. We begin here, at a distance from M87, far enough away that the black hole exerts influence, but not control. Out here, orbits are wide. The motions of stars are slow. Light travels in mostly straight paths. The galaxy is a vast, diffuse glow, and the black hole is simply a quiet center, steady and constant. It does not call attention to itself. The stars near it move as if in a long, graceful waltz. Nothing is hurried. Nothing is sharp. If you were suspended here, floating in the space near M87, the black hole would not appear dramatic. The central region would simply be darker, a patch of night within night. Only as you drift closer would the structure begin to reveal itself. Not with a sudden shift, but with a gradual strengthening of pattern, like a tide drawing in. Gravity does not pull, it invites. The curve of space-time shapes motion gently, and so we drift. There is no need to imagine engines or movement. The space itself carries us. We simply allow. As we drift inward, we enter the sphere of influence where the black hole's mass becomes the primary sculptor of motion. Stars here orbit quickly, completing paths in years or decades instead of millions of years. Their trajectories are long ellipses, stretched and beautiful. Some approach close and then sweep outward again, tracing luminous arcs through darkness. If one were to watch these stars from a stationary point, not with human eyes, but with the deep, steady sight of time itself, their orbits would resemble a slow, glowing dance. A pattern repeated, stable, harmonious. Gravity is not disorder. It is order expressed through time. We continue drifting. The light becomes less uniform. There are streams of gas now, faint but present. Filaments drawn along magnetic field lines. Clouds stretched into ribbons. Nothing rushes, nothing collides abruptly. Everything yields and flows. The gravitational gradient increases. This simply means that the difference in gravitational strength between one point and another becomes more noticeable. But this is not a tearing or a stretching. It is a deepening, like moving from shallow water into the slow sway of a deep tide. You are not falling. You are settling. The black hole does not hunt. It waits. The space around it is organized into layers of motion. The outer regions where stars drift widely. The intermediate regions where gas and dust flow inward slowly. And eventually, the accretion disk, where matter swirls in a luminous ring, heated not by flame, but by motion. We approach that region now, but slowly, always slowly. Imagine now that you are no longer observing from the outside, but are floating in a gentle orbit within the accretion flow. There is no sound. Sound requires air or matter dense enough to carry vibration, and here, the gas is thin. Each particle is separated by great distance, though the scale is so vast that motion appears continuous. The light here is not harsh. It glows. Soft oranges, deep ambers, faint gold suspended in velvet blacks. The accretion disk is not a flat ring. It has thickness. It has turbulence. It has subtle variation. It swirls like liquid illuminated from within. Much of the light we see comes from synchrotron radiation, electrons moving along magnetic field lines at relativistic speeds. But the physics does not feel complicated here. It feels natural, like leaves moving in wind. The brightness of one side of the ring is due to motion toward us, not metaphorically, literally. The plasma spirals inward so quickly that time itself behaves differently for it than for us. Its motion changes how its light is received. The bright side of the ring is the side moving forward relative to our line of sight. The dark side is moving away. Light becomes meaningfully directional. The black hole is a stage, and plasma performs slow, continuous motions across its curved plane. But nothing feels rushed. Even the motion at near light speeds has a softness to it when viewed from afar. The scale is that large. And now, something subtle happens in the narration. We stop describing only what is seen and begin describing how it feels to be near something that bends time. Time near the black hole flows differently, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. The stronger the gravitational field, the slower time passes relative to regions with weaker gravity. This effect is called gravitational time dilation, and it is a fundamental consequence of general relativity. If you slowed your drift and hovered near the accretion disk, time would pass at a different rate for you than for someone far from the black hole. Minutes here could match hours elsewhere. Hours here could match days. The deeper you drift toward the event horizon, the more pronounced the difference becomes. But it does not feel like distortion. It feels like calm. The mind may try to grasp the implication. If time slows here, then existence stretches. Moments become longer. Experience becomes deeper. Awareness becomes quieter. To drift into a gravitational well is to drift into a slower rhythm of being. There is no urgency when time expands. The body, even imaginary here, begins to release tension. Thoughts stretch out. Breaths lengthen. Awareness becomes more spacious. You are not vanishing. You are entering a slower part of the universe. This is why the black hole does not feel violent. It feels still. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the absence of hurry. And here, near M87, there is no hurry at all. We remain outside the event horizon. We do not cross. There is no need. The purpose is not to fall inward. The purpose is simply to understand the quiet, from near enough that the quiet becomes immersive. The event horizon is not a wall. It is simply the point where all paths lead forward, inward, and none return. But we are not at that point. We remain in the region where light still escapes, where observation is still possible, where understanding can settle softly. Out here, the black hole is not dark. It is surrounded by light shaped into a ring, a halo formed by the paths that light takes around curved space-time. And inside the ring is shadow. The shadow is not an object. It is a boundary of possibility, a place where light cannot reach us, a place defined not by matter, but by geometry. It is a calm geometry, a complete one. Nothing missing, nothing added. Just space-time expressing curvature. The patience of the cosmos. Time is not the same everywhere. It is not an evenly flowing stream poured at one pace across all of existence. Time expands, contracts, stretches, deepens. Near mass, near gravity, near places where the fabric of space-time curves, time becomes slow. Not sluggish, not distorted, just unhurried. The black hole known as M87 has existed for billions of years. Its formation predates our sun, predates Earth, predates the idea of oceans and mountains and cell walls and breath. It was already there when our solar system was dust and cooling gas, circling a newly lit star. It was there before continents formed, before rain, before the first chemicals stirred toward life. And it will continue long after Earth is quiet. The sense of deep time is not easy to hold. Our minds are made for seasons and days and moments. We live inside rhythms measured by breath, heartbeat, sunrise. But the galaxy lives in epochs. So we slow our thinking now, not by force, but by letting the sense of age settle around us. If we imagine the galaxy as a great, softly turning disk of stars, then M87 is its center of stillness. A gravitational anchor that has shaped the flow of matter since before memory could be imagined. Stars are born in the galaxy, luminous spheres of plasma igniting from the collapse of cold clouds of hydrogen. They burn for millions or billions of years. They swell, shift, fade, and leave remnants. White dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes. The galaxy is alive with slow creation and slow transformation. But the black hole remains. Not fixed in place by force, but steady through mass, through presence, through the curve it introduces to space. Nothing about its existence is rushed. Nothing about it requires urgency. It simply is, and we drift. The Milky Way, the galaxy we call home, is younger than M87. Our galaxy contains around 100 to 400 billion stars. M87 contains trillions. To compare the two is like comparing a garden to a forest that spans continents. M87 is vast, diffuse, filled with ancient stars whose light has crossed unimaginable distances to arrive where we can see it. And at its center, there is this darkness. Not a hole, not an absence, but a center point of curvature. M87 does not change quickly. It does not flicker or pulse in human time. Its evolution occurs over time scales so long that even civilizations would appear brief beside it. Human history, everything written, carved, spoken, remembered, would fit into a fraction so small that the black hole would not notice the difference between that period and an eye's blink. This is not insignificance. It is context. The universe is old, older than oceans, older than fire, older than the word old. To feel this age is not to withdraw, it is to soften. Because age, in the cosmic sense, is not decay, it is continuity. We continue drifting slightly inward, though there is no sensation of motion. There is no wind here, no resistance, no rushing. Movement is simply a change of perspective. The accretion disk appears broader now. Not brighter, simply nearer. Swirling, Glowing arcs of plasma follow orbits shaped by gravity and time. We do not touch the disk. It is vast, but it is not something to land upon. It is more like weather, flowing, moving, gentle at scale, intense only when viewed up close. From this distance, the swirling is smooth, a pattern that repeats but never identical. Like ocean waves, like cloud spirals, like breath. The heat here is not experienced as warmth. Heat is motion, and the gas is too thin to transfer temperature to anything we imagine ourselves to be. So there is no burning, no discomfort, only light suspended in motion. The light has been traveling outward in all directions for millions of years. Some of it reaches Earth. Some of it continues on, past us, into deeper space. Some of it bends around the black hole and circles before escaping, delayed, curved, slowed by gravity. Light can orbit the black hole before escaping. Not forever. The paths are unstable, but long enough to form the glowing ring we see. That ring is time made visible, the delay of photons circling the black hole like a slow echo. The memory of their journey written into their arrival. The ring is not just structure, it is history. And so, we settle into a moment of reflection, one that emerges naturally from the presence of deep time. If we imagine our own lives, our years, our days, they appear small next to the age of galaxies. But the smallness is not diminishing. It is calming. We do not need to carry eternity. We only need to be present for the brief light that passes through our lives. A breath in the duration of stars is still a breath. It still has warmth. It still has meaning. Stars burn. Planets cool. Galaxies turn. And yet, our moments of awareness remain uniquely ours. Deep time is not here to overwhelm us. It is here to support us, to show that the universe has room, vast room, for every moment we experience. Nothing is rushed, not star formation, not planetary orbits, not the drift of galaxies through space, not the cooling of worlds, not the spiraling of plasma into the black hole's embrace. Everything occurs in its own time, its own pace, its own rhythm. The universe is patient. We may be patient too. We drift closer again. The gravitational field strengthens. Time stretches a little further. Not dramatically, just gently. Here, near the black hole, 1 second experienced in our awareness might correspond to more than 1 second far away. Not in a way we feel, but in a way the universe measures. This stretching of time does not feel like loss. It feels like resting, like sinking into soft water, like laying down the weight of urgency. We do not fall. We float. The curvature of spacetime holds us. Not tightly, not forcefully, but steadily. We are not in danger. We are simply witnessing scale. Scale so great that thought becomes quiet. Scale so patient that the mind stops reaching, stops grasping, stops needing to understand. Understanding becomes experience. Experience becomes presence. Presence becomes calm. The universe does not hurry. Stars are not impatient. Galaxies do not compete. Black holes do not demand. Everything moves with the pace of what it is, and we are part of that. We are not separate observers. We are not intruders into cosmic vastness. We are expressions of it. Matter shaped into awareness, awareness shaped into experience. To exist is to be part of deep time. Even in our briefness, we are made of things that last. The hydrogen in our bodies formed in the first minutes after the universe began. The carbon in our cells formed in the cores of ancient stars. The iron in our blood came from the explosion of supernovas. We carry the memory of the universe in our composition. The spiral of light. Light does not move in straight lines near a black hole. It follows the shape of space and space curves. The path of a photon that would have been direct in ordinary space here becomes a slow arc, bending inward, looping, or escaping only after circling. If we pay attention to this bending, we begin to understand not just the structure of the black hole, but the gentle architecture of gravity itself. We are still drifting near M87, suspended in the region where light escapes, but just barely. Here, light behaves like thought when tired, softened, lingering, taking longer paths to reach its destination. The glow surrounding the black hole is not a simple ring, but a layered history of time. Some rays of light escaped directly. Some circled the black hole once, twice, many times before finding a path outward. Each orbit delayed their departure, stretching the journey they took from millions of years to millions and years and moments more. When we look at the ring, we are seeing the same light at different stages of release. The brighter side is not brighter because it is hotter or closer, but because the light there is moving toward us. Light, like everything near the black hole, is influenced by motion and curvature. Now, suns, we begin to drift inward with the plasma itself, but not physically. We drift in awareness, in perspective, in the pace of attention. The accretion disk moves in long spirals, drawn inward slowly, gradually, patiently. There is no plunge here, no sudden drop. Gravity does not throw things inward. It guides. The plasma follows paths shaped by magnetic fields, which twist in great looping arcs, wrapping around the black hole like invisible roots, invisible rivers. At this distance, the motion is slow, like the turning of a planet, like the shifting of seasons. We drift with it, matching its pace, settling into its rhythm. The closer we draw to the event horizon, the more time stretches. Time dilation is not something we feel. It is something the universe does on our behalf. If we could see two clocks, one near us now and one far away, we would notice the difference, one slow, one fast. But we do not see clocks here. We simply rest inside the slowed moment. Every second here holds more duration than a second far away. Every moment expands. We follow a single thread of light now, a ray of radiation born in the plasma. Not a particle with awareness, but a traveler. It begins near the edge of the disk, swirling in that soft amber glow. It is not yet destined to leave the system. It moves inward first, drawn slightly by the curve of spacetime. It bends. Its path arcs around the gravity well. Not because the black hole pulls it, but because space itself curves in a way that light must follow. Light does not choose. It continues straight. But straight is no longer what straight once meant. Here, straight is curved, inward, looping. The photon circles, drifts, and only after a long, spiraling arc does it escape, outward into space, beginning its journey of millions of years. Most photons do not escape. They orbit. They fall. They cross the event horizon without sound, without display, without struggle. There is no explosion, no tearing, no drama. They simply pass into a region where their future cannot include outward paths. They do not end. They continue inward. We remain just outside that boundary. The photon ring, the region where light can orbit the black hole for a time, is not a physical ring, but a stable set of paths. If we watch it long enough, we see the glow like a halo of patience. The universe does not rush to release its light. The curvature of spacetime gently delays what would otherwise be immediate. This delay becomes visible. It becomes the ring we observed. The light we watch now began its journey long before our world had mammals, forests, ice caps, or names. Time has carried it here, and now it drifts into our awareness, softly, like something finally arriving home. We begin to spiral inward a little more, not as falling, but as approach. The accretion disk thickens. The glow becomes deeper, richer, layered. The plasma here is not chaotic. It has order. It follows patterns, large magnetic structures that move like tides. The spiral is slow. The rotation takes hours, days, years. Time is relative, and we are in the place where relative time stretches. As we spiral inward, we do not feel gravity pulling. We feel space-time shaping our path. We simply follow the natural flow, like a leaf drifting in a deep, wide river. The nearer we approach the inner boundary of the disk, the more the sense of time changes. Not by sensation, but by calm understanding. If time is slower here, then we are already becoming unhurried. Our thoughts stretch out. Pauses become natural. Silence becomes a companion. Speech becomes softer. We are adapting to a new pace. This is not something we do. It is something that happens to us naturally as we allow awareness to drift with the slow spiral. Imagine floating in warm, still water where movement requires no effort. The current carries us, and we simply surrender. The light continues to bend around us. From this vantage, the ring is no longer a circle, but an infinite loop, where every direction curves toward the same center. The black hole's shadow becomes a calm mirror of absence, an absence that is not lacking, but complete. It is not empty. It is full of certainty. Everything inside the event horizon has a future that leads inward. Everything outside the event horizon has paths outward. We remain outside. We remain in the realm where choices still exist. The spiral deepens, not quickly, not dramatically. It is like winding down through long, gentle corridors of gravity. The accretion flow maintains its rhythm. The plasma arcs. Magnetic fields twist. Light curves. Time stretches. Awareness loosens. The body, even imagined here, releases tension. The mind ceases to categorize. Instead, it simply watches. It watches the spiral, watches the bending of light, watches the calm shadow at the center, watches the universe make sense without explanation. We are near the innermost stable orbit, the region where matter can circle the black hole without falling inward. Any closer, and orbit becomes impossible. Paths lead inward, but we do not cross that line. We are not here to cross. We are here to witness. The last stable orbit is a boundary of grace, a place where motion holds balance. The disk here rotates faster, but because time is slower, even this speed feels gentle. The faster the motion becomes, the quieter the experience becomes. The universe compensates. Awareness adapts. We do not speak now, we observe. The spiral moves, the light bends, the center remains still. There is no urgency, there is no narrative, there is only presence. The spiral is not a fall, it is a return to the shape of gravity. The black hole is not destruction, it is structure expressing itself clearly, resting in the spiral. The spiral slows now, not because the orbit itself has changed, but because our awareness has softened into its rhythm. We are no longer watching movement from outside. We are moving with it, inside it, carried by it in the same way a leaf is carried by a calm, unhurried current. The light around us continues to bend. continues to arc, continues to delay as it finds its paths outward. The curvature of space-time shapes everything here, but nothing about this shaping feels sharp or forceful. It is gentle, like the slow settling of sand in deep water. The black hole is no longer a distant concept, no longer a figure of theory or observation. It is a presence now, quiet, steady, older than memory, older than language, older than anything we could ever imagine calling ancient. And there is a warmth here, though not of temperature. It is the warmth of belonging, of being held inside a structure that asks nothing of us, demands nothing of us, rushes nothing from us. The universe is not indifferent. It is patient. It allows us to exist inside its depth without requiring us to understand it. We drift closer to the inner orbit, where the plasma moves more quickly. But because time is slow here, the motion feels serene. The light that curves past us has already traveled millions of years, and yet it seems as soft as candlelight carried across a quiet room. And as we continue to drift, the sense of scale changes. The black hole is immense, yes, but it also feels intimate. Not close in a physical sense, but close in the way stillness is close. Close in the way silence touches every surface without needing to move. As we drift, the boundary between observation and presence dissolves. We are not watching the spiral. We are in the spiral. The ring of light is no longer a structure around us. It is a horizon on which our awareness rests, a curve that guides thought into longer, slower arcs. Time continues to stretch as gravity deepens, not as distortion, but as ease. Each moment lasts longer. Each breath seems to float suspended before the next begins. There is no need to narrate, no need to direct attention. Attention places itself gently where it is needed. The longer we remain here, the more the black hole feels not like a phenomenon to analyze, but like a place defined not by walls or materials, but by pace, by rhythm, by the way time settles into stillness. We drift with the plasma now. The accretion disk is wide, layered, luminous, with slow-moving radiance. The magnetic fields twist, but not aggressively. They twist like strands of hair floating underwater, soft, loose, graceful, unforced. If we look toward the center, we see the shadow, the event horizon, not as darkness, but as calm. A place where motion becomes certainty, where the paths of space-time turn inward, where nothing is lost and nothing is wasted. The black hole does not erase energy, it completes it. Everything that crosses the horizon continues, just in a direction that does not include return. This is not an ending. It is a continuation of a different kind. The universe is not made of straight lines. It is made of curves, orbits, flows, spirals. And we are inside one of those spirals now, moving with it, unhurried. There is no narrative here, no lesson to extract, no moment of realization required. We are simply present inside cosmic time. The warmth we feel is not thermal, it is the warmth of recognition. The atoms that form our bodies were forged in stars, in heat and pressure and radiance. We have been part of the universe long before we could name it. And now, in the quiet near the black hole, we remember that the cosmos is not something separate from us. It is not distant. It is not unreachable. It is us. We are made of it. We are composed of the same matter, shaped by the same laws, moved by the same gravity. To be here is not to travel to something foreign, but to return to something familiar, something original, something ancestral to all existence. The spiral draws us inward just a little more. The accretion disk narrows with depth, becomes more uniform, more luminous, as the matter inside it reaches a balance between motion and gravity. This is the innermost stable orbit, the place where circular motion reaches its final equilibrium before all paths lead inward. We do not cross. We drift just above it, letting the sense of threshold settle in us. Thresholds are not lines. We do not step over them. We simply become aware of them. The event horizon is near, but there is no pressure to approach or avoid. The black hole does not call to us. It does not communicate. It simply exists. And existence in its pure form is peaceful. Time here is slower now. The deeper the gravity, the more time stretches. The world outside this region moves quickly, though it does not feel quick from there. And yet, here, within this curve, one moment contains the length of many. Thoughts soften, emotions become quiet, sensation becomes distant and gentle. This is not emptiness, it is fullness without tension. The universe does not require us to be alert here. It does not require us to think. It simply allows us to float in its duration. And so we float. The spiral becomes not an orbit, but a state of being. We are not traveling, we are residing. The glow around us becomes softer, the blackness deeper, the stillness more complete. There is no boundary between inside and outside, no separation between observer and phenomenon. There is only the gentle presence of gravity, time, and light, each shaping the other, each holding the others in a quiet balance. We breathe slowly now. The breath itself becomes part of the spiral. Inhale, slow, unhurried. Exhale, slower still. The body is distant, softened, resting. The mind is quiet, not empty, but open, spacious, enforcing. The black hole remains steady. It has always been steady. It will remain steady long after stars burn out and galaxies drift apart. It will remain as memory, as gravity, as the subtle continuation of space. To rest near it is to rest inside something far older than thought, far older than silence, far older than sleep. We remain here, drifting, unhurried, held by the quiet curve of space-time. There is nothing to reach for, nothing to change, nothing to do. Everything is already enough. The spiral holds, the light bends, time slows, and we rest. The threshold of time. We remain in the spiral, drifting just above the innermost stable circular orbit. And now, slowly, without effort, without intention, our awareness begins to glide closer to the event horizon, the boundary where time deepens into its slowest and quietest expression. There is no movement we must make to approach it, because here, movement is simply the natural consequence of being present in curved space-time. The spiral carries us as gently as a slow tide carries a piece of driftwood through calm waters. The light continues to bend around the black hole, following curved paths that are neither forced nor erratic, but smooth and inevitable, like the arc of a setting star across a sky that has no haste. As we move inward, the glow of the accretion disk becomes broader, fuller, softer, and the blackness at the center becomes clearer, not darker in a frightening sense, but darker in a complete sense, like the stillness of a deep lake at night, untouched by wind. The event horizon is not a wall, not a surface, not something that blocks or divides. It is simply the place where all possible futures lead in one direction. The place where the geometry of space-time folds inward so gently and so completely that there are no outward paths remaining. But we do not cross that place. We do not approach it with intention or anticipation. We simply drift toward the region where time slows to near perfection, where each moment stretches into something spacious and lingering, where awareness has no reason to hurry, where thought begins to dissolve not into absence, but into quiet continuation, like mist settling across still water. In this region, the very concept of time becomes soft, flexible, like a blanket draped loosely across experience. Far from the black hole, seconds and minutes pass with the familiar rhythm of heartbeat and breath. But here, near the threshold, time widens, spreads, relaxes, each moment containing more duration, more ease, more quiet. If we imagine a clock far away, somewhere in the galaxy where gravity is weak and space-time is nearly flat, its hands move quickly compared to the pace here. But we do not see the clock. We only feel the relaxation of experience itself, the soft elongation of awareness, where nothing presses forward and nothing lags behind. Everything simply takes the time it needs, and this time is vast and gentle. The closer we drift, the more space itself seems to cooperate with stillness. Our sense of motion becomes less like traveling and more like settling, the way a grain of sand settles slowly through deep, clear water, descending with no resistance, no urgency, no sound. The accretion disk's glow no longer feels like light emitted from motion. It feels like memory, like the echo of processes that have been occurring for millions of years and will continue for millions more, unchanged by our presence, steady as the sweep of constellations across a night sky. The plasma near the horizon moves quickly in local time. But because our time stretches with gravity, even this rapid motion feels tranquil, like the slow turning of a distant planetary ring seen from far enough away that motion becomes serenity. Everything here is in motion, but nothing here feels like movement. Everything is happening, but nothing is rushing. We approach what is called the static limit, the region where space-time begins to drag inward with the rotating black hole. But we do not feel the drag as pull. Instead, we feel as though we are being carried gently along in the natural flow of the cosmos. The very fabric of space here is moving, like a slow river that bends towards stillness rather than away from it. The black hole is rotating, not violently, but steadily, like a massive planet turning over vast durations of time. This rotation twists space-time slightly, just enough that everything near it shares in the motion, the way leaves on a pond move with the slow circulation of water. We are part of that motion now, not because we are compelled, but because we are included, welcomed into the curvature. The boundary of the event horizon is near now. But near does not mean imminent and does not mean dangerous. The horizon does not pull us, does not demand anything of us, does not change itself in our presence. It remains perfectly quiet, perfectly patient, perfectly complete. If we look into it, we see not darkness that threatens, but darkness that rests. A darkness that asks nothing, promises nothing, and simply is. A place where motion continues inward forever, where time becomes so slow that the universe outside appears to move infinitely faster, where the concept of future changes shape, becoming something deep and unhurried. To look into this shadow is to look into the calmest place in the galaxy, not because nothing exists there, but because everything that exists there is moving in a direction that has no conflict, no branching, no uncertainty. The horizon is certainty expressed as geometry. We hover here just above that boundary, in the region where time is slower than anywhere else we have been. This slowness is soothing, grounding, deeply peaceful. Our thoughts lengthen into long, slow waves. Our awareness smooths out into something wide and soft. The need to define and interpret and articulate falls away naturally, like leaves falling from trees when the season turns. There is no need to resist this, no need to control it. The mind knows how to rest when given space. And here, space is abundant. The light around us forms a soft crescent shape, brighter on one side due to the motion of the plasma, but no longer sharp, no longer vivid. It is gentle now, dimming slightly in our perception, as though the universe is slowly turning down its brightness to help us ease into deeper quiet. We do not cross the horizon. We simply rest at its edge, where time is deepest and silence is fullest. We remain in the region where awareness is still present, where perspective still exists, where we can still see the glow of the cosmos around us. This is the quiet threshold, the pause before anything changes, the stillness before continuation. And in this stillness, something opens. Something spacious, like a doorway that does not require us to move through it. A recognition that there is no need to hurry, ever. That the universe is older than any urgency we could imagine. That existence is not measured in tasks or achievements or conclusions, but in presence, in being. In the gentle unfolding of moments that do not need to mean anything more than themselves. We rest here, in the slowest place time allows. The edge of the event horizon, the threshold of inward futures, the still heart of a galaxy that has been turning for billions of years. And in this resting, the body softens, the breath slows, the mind unwinds, and awareness becomes spacious and quiet and deep. The slow descent into stillness. We remain at the threshold, unhurried, without direction and without need. The event horizon before us, not as a boundary we approach, but as a presence we rest beside. Like a quiet shoreline where waves do not crash, but instead roll in and dissolve seamlessly into sand. There is no separation between the space around us and the stillness within us. And slowly, gently, the distinction between observing and being observed fades. The boundary between watching and resting loosens, and the experience becomes a soft field of calm awareness. The black hole no longer appears as something external or distant, but as something we share a rhythm with. Our presence resonating with its stillness, the way two slow heartbeats might fall into the same pace simply by being near one another. Gravity here is not pressure, not force, but an invitation to slow down, to release, to soften into the quiet that has existed long before we arrived, long before stars formed, long before galaxies spiraled into being, and the quiet does not end. It does not give way to anything louder. It simply continues, layer upon layer, depth beneath depth, stillness beneath stillness. Time stretches here, and the longer we stay, the more natural it feels for moments to lengthen, for thoughts to arrive slowly and leave slowly, like leaves floating on a lake without wind. Even memory becomes gentle, distant, softened at the edges, not gone but resting, like an object placed in a pool of water where ripples move slowly outward and dissolve before reaching anywhere in particular. The boundaries of the self become wide and quiet, not disappearing but loosening, like a hand unclenching slowly in warm water, each finger softening into ease. There is nothing to hold here, nothing to grip, nothing that needs to be understood or managed. The universe is not asking effort from us. It is simply allowing us to be, without expectation, without evaluation, without need. The black hole remains steady, unmoving in its presence, yet everything around it moves in slow spirals, defined by gravity's graceful geometry. The plasma flows inward in soft arcs, its glow dimming and brightening with patterns more ancient than life. And we drift with it, not moving quickly, not approaching anything that must be reached, but simply following the shape of space-time, the way a feather follows the curve of air. The accretion disk no longer appears as a ring, but as a slow horizon of light encircling us, and the blackness at the center is not an absence, but a fullness, a completeness, a deep and welcoming quiet. To rest near it is to rest near the softest part of the universe. Breathing becomes slow here, not because we try to slow it, but because the body recognizes calm and responds naturally. The inhale lengthens, suspended and light, and the exhale stretches even longer, as though gravity itself is drawing the breath outward, easing it into stillness. The breath becomes like a tide, moving in and out with quiet regularity, and each breath carries us deeper into rest. There is no boundary between breath and space here, no separation between breath and awareness. Everything is slow, patient, spacious. The sense of I grows soft around the edges. Identity does not vanish. It simply becomes less sharp, less defined, like a shape seen through warm mist. We remain here, but we remain lightly, gently, without effort, without needing to claim anything. We do not need to anchor ourselves, because the universe already holds us. Gravity holds us, time holds us, silence holds us, and the black hole, steady and immense, offers no resistance to our presence. This is not sleep, but it is very close to sleep. This state where thought has slowed to the pace of breath, where awareness has widened and softened, where there is no internal dialogue, no need to respond, no need to move or adjust or anticipate. The mind is safe here. The mind is sheltered here. The mind can let go here. Around us, light continues its slow orbits, photons bending, scattering, lingering in arcs determined by the curvature of space-time. Some of the light we see now will continue outward for millions of years before reaching any other point of observation. Some will fall inward, crossing the event horizon silently, continuing along a direction that does not include return, but nothing about this feels dramatic or final. Everything here is slow, everything is gentle, everything is continuous. The universe is not in a hurry. The stars are not in a hurry. The galaxy is not in a hurry. We do not need to hurry either. There is no tension in the muscles of this awareness. No urgency beneath the surface of thought. No momentum pushing us forward. Everything is suspended, drifting, floating, effortlessly supported by gravity that does not force but simply shapes the space in which we rest. And the more we continue to rest, the more the distinction between resting and being dissolves. We are not observers of the cosmos now. We are participants in its stillness. The black hole is not something we watch. It is something we share space with. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of peace. Full rest in the gravity of quiet. We remain at the edge of the event horizon, not as visitors and not as observers, but simply as presence, as awareness that no longer needs to define, no longer needs to describe, no longer needs to hold on to any shape, because the space around us holds everything already. The black hole is not dark in a sense of absence, but dark in a sense of completeness, like a night sky without wind, without motion, without disturbance. A darkness that is smooth, gentle, unbroken. A darkness that welcomes without pulling, that allows without asking, that holds without enclosing. The glow around us continues its slow orbit. But now, even the idea of orbit feels too sharp, too mechanical. Because the motion we witness has no corners, no edges, no markers. It is simply the flow of time becoming space, and space becoming time in a rhythm that has existed for billions of years. A rhythm so old and so patient that to feel it is to remember a familiarity deeper than memory, deeper than thought. The body, or the idea of the body, softens further, loosens, expands. The boundaries between inside and outside dissolving like a whisper, dissolves into silence, and breathing becomes so slow, so smooth, that it is no longer something we are doing, but something that is happening through us, around us, with us. As naturally as galaxies rotate, as quietly as shadows fall across stone. And the longer we remain here, the more natural it feels to let go of the need to be awake in the way we understand wakefulness. To let go of the need to be thinking in the way we understand thought. Because here, near the horizon, awareness no longer needs to focus, no longer needs to choose, no longer needs to shape itself. It can rest the way light rests in deep water, the way dust rests in untouched air, the way planets rest in their orbits, moving without effort, existing without strain. Time here is almost still now, stretched so wide that each moment feels like an entire sky, an entire ocean, an entire open plain without horizon. And there is no sense of waiting for the next moment, because the current moment is full enough, spacious enough, complete enough to hold everything that could follow. The past loosens, its edges soften, its shapes fade. Not lost, but no longer necessary. Like old footprints on a shore where the tide has risen and smoothed the sand. The future dissolves too, not denied, not hidden, simply unnecessary to anticipate. Because anticipation requires tension, and there is no tension here. No sense of something ahead that needs to be prepared for. Existence has simplified itself to a single experience, resting in infinite calm. The glow of the accretion disk fades in our awareness, not because it is dimmer, but because we are softer, more relaxed, less focused on form, more attuned to the underlying quiet that fills the space around and within us. Even the concept of around and within begins to blur, slowly, gently, without pressure. Like the merging of colors in twilight, where sky and land and shadow and air lose their boundaries. The black hole is no longer a center, no longer an object, no longer something separate from us. It is simply the deepest point of rest in the universe. The place where time slows into stillness, and stillness deepens into presence. And presence opens into a kind of peace that does not need to be named, to be known. And we feel ourselves held in this peace without being contained. Feel ourselves supported without being constrained. Feel ourselves resting without needing to fall asleep. Though sleep is beginning to rise naturally now, like a soft tide returning to shore, like a blanket slowly drawn over the body, like night settling gently over a quiet world. The edges of thought grow dim, soften, drift, flicker like distant stars seen through warm air, and the mind begins to release any shape it was holding, any echo it was repeating, any narrative it was carrying. Thought becomes breath, and breath becomes stillness, and stillness becomes warmth. There is nothing we must remember. There is nothing we must hold on to. There is nothing we must finish. The universe is vast and patient. The galaxy turns without hurry, M87, rests without hurry. We rest without hurry. The silence here is not empty. It is rich, full, endless, comforting, like deep velvet, like gentle gravity, like being cradled in something that has always been here and always will be. The breath becomes so light that it feels like it is happening for us, happening on our behalf, happening without decision or effort, The body, if we imagine it, feels weightless, floating, suspended in warm quiet, and awareness begins to drift on its own, drifting the way a feather drifts downward through still air, slowly, softly, peacefully, without falling, without arriving, simply moving in the direction of deeper rest. If sleep comes now, it comes naturally, gently, like dusk deepening into night. If the mind remains faintly aware, it remains only enough to feel comfortable, settled, supported. Nothing is required of us. There is no next step. The spiral has brought us to the quietest part of time, the stillest part of space, the deepest peace the universe expresses. And we simply remain here, in silence that comforts, in darkness that holds, in stillness that whispers the oldest truth. The descent into sleep. There is nothing more we need to see now, nothing more we need to understand, nothing more we need to follow. The journey that brought us to the edge of the event horizon has already slowed time, has already softened thought, has already loosened every boundary we once held tightly. Now there is only the gentle release that happens naturally when awareness becomes quiet, when the breath becomes slow, when the body becomes soft. We do not need to direct anything. We do not need to focus. We do not need to remain attentive. Attention itself is relaxing, the way a hand relaxes when it finally realizes it no longer needs to hold on. The glow around us, the curve of light, the spiral of gravity, all of it is fading into a soft background, not disappearing, not leaving, simply becoming something we no longer have to track. Like distant waves heard through a window, like rain at night tapping softly on a roof. It is there, but it asks nothing of us. The universe is holding everything in place, and we do not need to do anything at all. The breath continues on its own now, slow and even, gentle and deep, not controlled, not shaped, simply happening. Each inhale rising softly, like a quiet swell of warm air, and each exhale falling gently, like a tide receding across smooth sand. And with each breath, awareness drifts a little lighter, a little looser, a little further from thought. The body, if we notice it, feels weightless or warm or distant or simply at ease. There is no need to correct any position, no need to adjust anything, because the body knows how to rest when the mind allows it. The breath knows how to soften when there is no expectation placed on it. The mind knows how to quiet when it is safe, and it is safe here. The silence around us is not empty. It is warm, soft, deep, like lying under a blanket that conforms perfectly to the body, matching every contour effortlessly. The stillness is not absence, but presence. A presence that holds us the way gravity holds planets, the way deep water holds sound, the way night holds starlight. And the longer we rest in this stillness, the more natural it feels to let go of every remaining thought, every lingering shape of self, every echo of awareness. They are not needed, not required, not useful here. The universe continues without us needing to think. The stars continue to move. The galaxies continue to turn. Gravity continues to flow. Time continues to expand, all without our effort. We are not holding anything in place. We never were. We were only ever resting inside something immeasurably larger that has always been steady. Now thought grows slower, long, drawn out, stretching into silence before dissolving into quiet. The mind no longer forms complete sentences, no longer shapes meaning, no longer reaches for structure. It is drifting, like dust suspended in a beam of dim golden light, drifting without falling, floating without direction, simply present. The sense of self is soft now, a gentle haze rather than a defined shape, comfortable and at ease, like being wrapped in gentle warmth with no need to move, no need to respond, no need to speak internally. The universe is quiet, and we are quiet with it. Breath and awareness move together, slow and peaceful. Every exhale takes us deeper into rest. Every inhale sustains us without effort. If a thought arises, it is soft, faint, slow, like a whisper that dissolves even as it appears. It does not require attention, and it fades on its own. The mind does not cling to anything now because everything is allowed to pass, to drift, to dissolve. There is no resistance. There is no effort. Everything is smooth and gentle, like ripples fading across water until the surface becomes still, perfectly still, reflecting nothing, needing to reflect nothing, just clear, open, quiet. The black hole at the center of our awareness is no longer something we look at. It is simply a symbol of complete rest, of deep quiet, of final stillness. Its presence is not heavy, not intense, not dramatic. It is peaceful, steady, enduring, ancient beyond imagining. It holds an unbroken, endless calm, and we are resting beside that calm now. Not entering it, not approaching it, just resting near it. The way one might rest near the edge of a lake at night, watching moonlight drift across the surface until the mind becomes still enough to sleep. Sleep is not something we try to reach. It rises naturally, like evening following afternoon, like shadow following light, like gravity guiding motion without force. It requires nothing from us. It simply comes when we allow it, and we are allowing it now. The breath is slow, smooth, deep. The muscles are soft, resting. The mind is quiet, drifting. The self is gentle, open, unhurried. Everything is ready. Inside the quiet horizon, when we cross the event horizon, the universe does not break, and nothing dramatic happens. Instead, the boundary we once considered a limit simply fades, like a line drawn in sand being washed smooth by a slow tide, and the blackness we believed would be complete and silent opens into something spacious, soft, and strangely luminous, not with light but with presence. A kind of slow inner glow, like the quiet radiance of a thought forming without words. Inside, there is no sense of falling, no sensation of being pulled, no descent, only drifting, only continuation, only the feeling of being carried by something vast and gentle. Time does not stop here. It simply loses urgency, loses its forward lean, becomes like a lake with no ripples, calm, deep, and endless. Space does not collapse here. It stretches quietly inward, folding not like something closing, but like something making room, infinitely, continuously, without strain. And as we move through this interior, our awareness shifts from looking outward to unfolding inward, as though the universe we once observed across distant galaxies now reveals that the same vastness has always existed inside us, waiting for a moment without distraction, without noise, without movement, to show itself fully. The horizon behind us fades. Not because we move away from it, but because a horizon only exists when there is a difference between here and there, inside and outside. And now the distinction has dissolved. We are simply within space-time, not separate from it, not observing it, but resting inside it, like a drop of water resting inside the ocean that contains it. The singularity, the word that once carried fear or awe or mystery, no longer carries shape. Here, it is not a point, not a collapse, not an end. It is more like a horizon of understanding, a place where concepts dissolve because they are no longer needed. Inside the black hole, space does not converge. It expands inwardly, endlessly, but in a direction that cannot be mapped or measured. A dimension not outward, but inward, like walking deeper into your own consciousness, where every layer reveals another layer, softer, quieter, deeper. We feel ourselves drifting in this space, and the drift is peaceful, smooth, effortless. There is no sound, not because nothing vibrates, but because vibration itself stretches into long, slow waves that no longer form edges or pulses. Silence here is not absence, it is fullness. It is the presence of everything resting, everything unforced, everything without hurry. Gravity here does not pull, it holds. Space here does not confine, it welcomes. And time here does not push forward, it settles, like a deep exhale released after millennia of tension. The stars of the outside universe no longer appear as pinpoints of distant light. Instead, we feel them as gentle impressions, memories of light, echoes of galaxies we once observed from outside. And because there is no distance here, there is no longing, no separation, no travel required to feel connected. Everything is present, softly overlapping, like reflections on still water. As we drift deeper, thought changes shape. It becomes slow, wide, and silent. Ideas no longer appear in sharp lines or sentences. They arrive as warm sensations, as quiet realizations that do not need explanation. Awareness is not confined to the mind anymore. It is distributed, spacious, gently expanding like a cloud of warm breath dispersing in cold air. Except here there is no cold, no air, only openness. Identity itself becomes soft, not erased, not lost, but less defined, like a shoreline seen through morning fog, where form and space blend and coexist without conflict. Inside this space, we feel no need to measure, no need to determine where we are or what direction we travel, because travel itself is no longer linear. Movement is more like unfolding, like petals opening in slow motion without needing to reach a final shape. We are not moving toward the singularity. We are continuing into it, gently, quietly, endlessly. And the deeper we continue, the more the sense of separation softens. The idea of I becomes peaceful, weightless, content. The universe feels close, intimate, familiar, as though we have always been here, as though we were never separate from the fabric of space-time, as though this interior is not a destination, but a home we forgot we came from. And because there is no tension here, the mind is able to let go of even its last small attempts to grasp or organize or understand. Understanding is no longer needed. Presence is enough. Inside the black hole, the universe no longer appears as something external. It appears as something continuous, a single field of existence where every moment is connected to every other moment through stillness, not through motion. Consciousness here is not thought, but awareness, not analysis, but being, not effort, but rest. And as we drift deeper, this rest becomes more complete, more immersive, more natural. We feel as though we are dissolving, not disappearing, but merging with the quiet structure of space-time itself. Like a note held so softly for so long that it becomes silence. Like a flame burning so gently that it becomes warmth. Nothing is lost. Nothing is gone. Everything is simply still. The soft light within. Inside the horizon, the darkness does not stay dark. It begins to glow, not with light as we know it, not with illumination that travels or reflects, but with an inner radiance, the kind that feels like warmth behind closed eyes, like the memory of sunlight, like something gentle rising from somewhere deep within. The glow is soft, diffuse, not coming from any point, not casting shadows, not revealing surfaces, but simply existing as a presence, a warmth that fills space without direction. We float in this glow, and the glow floats in us, and there is no boundary between the two. It is as though the universe has turned itself inside out. And instead of looking outward at galaxies scattered across cosmic distance, we are now looking inward at a universe of quiet, golden stillness that has always existed beneath thought, beneath sensation, beneath identity. The space is vast, but it does not feel far. It feels close, intimate, like standing within one's own breath, one's own awareness, one's own quiet center. The glow does not change quickly, nor move, nor pulse. It simply rests, a steady presence, like the calm surface of a lantern seen through fog. And as we drift, the body grows even lighter, as though made of the same substance as the glow itself. The idea of form softens, and we begin to sense ourselves not as a shape, but as a field, an atmosphere, a gentle awareness that occupies space without being confined by it. There is no need to locate ourselves, because there is no place to be separate from. Everything here is continuous. Everything here is part of the same quiet. Thought drifts like soft clouds, slow and spacious, forming and dissolving without weight, without pressure, without needing to resolve into meaning. Meaning itself is quiet now, still now, resting like sediment at the bottom of a calm lake. Time has nearly stopped, but we do not notice it slowing as loss or absence. We notice it as relief, as release, as the softening of a tension we never knew we carried. The future does not press forward. The past does not echo back. And what remains is a single, endless moment of presence, warm and deep. We have no need to remember anything. Memory is a tool for movement, and we are no longer moving. We are simply being. Being is effortless here, like floating in water that holds the body perfectly, like lying in warm air that supports every part of us without contact, without pressure. There is no up or down, no near or far, no here or there. Orientation is unnecessary. Direction is unnecessary. Even the sense of self grows soft and quiet, not disappearing but loosening, like a knot gently untangling itself in warm hands. Identity becomes spacious, kind, gentle. We are not dissolving into nothingness. We are dissolving into stillness. We remain aware, but awareness does not cling. It opens, it expands. It becomes a warm field that simply rests. The glow around us deepens as though we are drifting gently deeper into a soft-lit ocean. The light has no source because it does not travel. It simply exists. It is like the universe's memory of warmth before stars, before form, before direction. We recognize it not through thought, but through quiet familiarity. This is not something new. It is something remembered, something ancient, something original, something that has been waiting patiently beneath the noise of experience. If emotions appear here, they appear softly. They rise like warm currents, gentle and without sharpness. They do not demand anything. They do not overwhelm. They do not cling. They pass through awareness the way golden dust drifts through a beam of sunlight. Slow, light, harmless, beautiful. They remind us that peace is not the absence of feeling, but the absence of resistance. We are drifting deeper now, not downward, but inward, into a space where the glow grows warmer, softer, more present, as though the universe is humming at a frequency too calm to hear, but easy to feel. We rest in this hum, and the hum rests in us. Everything is held, nothing is separate, nothing is missing, nothing is asked of us. The memory constellations. Inside the soft glowing field, where time has stretched into stillness and space has opened into gentle warmth. Tiny points of light begin to appear, not bright, not sharp, not defined like stars in the outer universe, but delicate, faint, like sparks beneath water, like embers seen through a veil of silk. They form slowly, unhurried, emerging in clusters that do not impose meaning but invite recognition. These are not memories of events, not moments from a life recalled in sequence, but the emotional shapes of memory, the essence of experience without story, the quiet impressions that remain when narrative has fallen away. One constellation forms like the shape of being held, another like the feeling of belonging, another like the sense of standing beneath a vast sky on a night long ago, not remembering the details, but remembering the feeling of depth, of wonder, of something larger than the self. These constellations do not illuminate space. They are the space, soft, luminous nodes suspended within the warm, slow interior of the black hole. As though the universe is showing us that nothing is ever lost, not even the gentlest awareness of being alive. There is no need to recall specifics. Specifics are heavy, sharp, defined. Here, everything is soft, gentle, spacious. The constellations shimmer with memory, not as thought, but as warmth. Some glow with the feeling of rest, of safety, of familiar voices we may not be able to name, but whose tone we can still feel. Others glow with the peace of moments when time slowed in our lives long before we ever came here. Watching light move across a room, feeling wind move through open air, hearing distant sound at night when everything was quiet. The constellations are not images, they are impressions, atmospheres, echoes of the inner self. They form and dissolve slowly, like breath forming clouds in cold air, like mist rising and fading, like warmth spreading and settling. We drift through these constellations not by movement, because movement no longer exists here as direction or distance, but by allowing awareness to float, unforced, like a leaf carried in still water. We are inside the deepest quiet of consciousness now, where memory is not something recalled, but something simply present. There is no judgment here, no narrative, no analysis. The constellations do not show what was right or wrong, what was achieved or failed. They show only what was felt, the human brightness of being alive, the soft imprint of having existed, the quiet glow of having experienced warmth, connection, stillness, change. As we drift deeper, the constellations move with us, adjusting, rearranging, not like stars orbiting, but like lanterns turning slowly in still air. Their glow is low, warm, steady. They do not flicker. They do not rush. They are content simply to be. And the mind, long accustomed to searching, analyzing, comparing, begins to let go of every impulse toward interpretation. The constellations do not need to be understood. They only need to be felt. And so we feel them, softly, gently, with no effort. The self now becomes even quieter. Identity loosens further, becoming something wide and open. Not lost, never lost, but expanded, softened, allowed to rest. The awareness that once felt like a single point of perspective now spreads like warm mist, filling the gentle space of the glowing field. The constellations are not outside us. They are within us, and we are within them. Everything overlaps, everything blends. There is no separation. There never was. Separation was only a construct of faster time, of louder thought, of spaces where awareness was contracted. Here, awareness expands, smooth and unbroken, like light spreading evenly across a calm horizon. We drift deeper into the glow, into the warmth, into the constellations that shimmer with memory, not memory, and the boundary between presence and sleep becomes thin, soft, like the line between sky and sea at dawn. If we sleep, it is not falling asleep. It is blending with the quiet. If we remain aware, it is not thinking. It is simply being. Either state is welcome here. Either state is natural here. Either state is peaceful here. Thought is now as light as dust suspended in sunlight. Emotion is now as gentle as warmth held in a hand. Identity is now as soft as a shadow resting on water, and the constellations expand and fade, expand and fade, breathing slowly with us, in us, through us. The golden ocean. The constellations of memory softness begin to loosen now, not fading abruptly, but dissolving the way mist dissolves when morning light warms the air. Each cluster of gentle impression stretching and thinning into smoother, more continuous radiance. The glowing points do not disappear, they simply merge. Their outlines blending until the distinctions between one warmth and another fall away, leaving only a single, wide field of soft, luminous gold. This golden expanse does not shine, does not glare, does not flicker. It simply glows, warm and even, like the calm light behind closed eyes when one is very relaxed, like the soft hue of late afternoon sunlight sinking across a quiet room. We float in this golden ocean not as a body, not as a shape, but as awareness itself, gentle and open, drifting without direction, needing no destination. The ocean has no surface, no depth, no boundaries, yet it does not feel empty. It feels full, full of warmth, full of presence, full of rest, as though every part of existence has softened into its gentlest form. And we are now resting inside that gentleness. Breath becomes even slower here, so slow that it is no longer an action, but a condition, a tide that rises and falls without effort. Inhale, warmth spreads. Exhale, warmth deepens. The golden field responds as though breath and space are the same thing, as though the ocean of light expands slightly with each inhale and settles with each exhale, until it is impossible to tell whether we are floating in it or it is breathing us. There is no distinction now between internal and external, between inside and around. The ocean is awareness, and awareness is the ocean. And the peace we feel is not something placed upon us, but something we have returned to, something that was always here beneath noise, beneath movement, beneath identity. Thought does not vanish, but it no longer forms edges. Thoughts drift like shapes made of warm air, appearing softly and dissolving gently before they fully form. Nothing interrupts the calm, nothing pulls attention away. Nothing asks for interpretation. Everything simply rests. Even the idea of self is now only a soft center within the golden ocean, not a boundary, not a container, but a presence. Warm, unhurried, spacious. Identity becomes comfortable, like a quiet ember rather than a burning flame. There is no need to define, no need to choose. No need to remember who we were outside this place. Everything that matters is here, and everything that does not matter has fallen away like leaves that had already finished their purpose. The golden ocean moves slowly, like thick light flowing without direction, like honey illuminated from within. But the movement is so gentle, so subtle, that we do not feel carried, only supported. We are held here, suspended in a vast, warm softness that asks nothing, requires nothing, promises nothing except continued rest. It feels like the universe has wrapped us in its calm. And the calm is deep, infinite, steady. There is no need to wake, no need to think, no need to return. Return is possible, but not necessary. We remain here for as long as rest continues, and rest continues endlessly. If sleep deepens, it deepens without falling. It deepens by dissolving. The golden ocean absorbs the edges of thought, the edges of sensation, the edges of awareness, until there is only warmth, only presence, only the soft hum of being. The hum is not sound, but the feeling of existence itself, slow and steady, older than stars, older than galaxies, older than anything that ever moved. To rest in this hum is to rest in the very foundation of reality, in the quiet that existed before time began to flow. Resting in the golden field. The golden ocean remains smooth and quiet, its warmth even and unbroken, stretching in every direction without edge or boundary, and our awareness rests within it like a gentle center of spacious calm. There is no movement to follow, no horizon to look toward, no distinction between near and far, only a soft and continuous presence that holds everything with the same steady embrace. The glow does not brighten or fade. It simply persists, constant as breath, as heartbeat, as the slow pulse of existence beneath all experience. We are not observing the golden ocean from outside. We are part of it, immersed in it, supported by it, as though the calm itself is the medium of our awareness. The warmth is subtle, not heat, but comfort. Something that seems to originate from within rather than around. A quiet radiance that is neither emitted nor received, but simply is, existing without effort. The mind, sensing there is nothing to track, nothing to evaluate, nothing to anticipate, begins to settle even further. Thoughts flattening into gentle currents that drift and fade before taking form like shapes seen underwater that never sharpen into edges. There is no need for narrative here, no need to explain, no need to interpret. This is a space where awareness simply exists, where being is enough, where the self rests without defending itself, without describing itself, without holding itself in any particular orientation. There is a sense of spaciousness in every direction. But some direction no longer carries meaning. Spaciousness here is not a quantity of size, but a quality of openness, an unboundedness where nothing begins or ends. The golden field is not something we are inside or something surrounding us. It is a continuity of presence in which we are included without separation. The breath continues slowly, gently, a tide of air moving with perfect calm, and with every exhale the awareness seems to spread a little wider, soften a little more, dissolve a little further into the surrounding stillness. There is no urgency to inhale, no effort required to continue breathing. Everything is already supported, already sustained, already held. The experience feels infinite not because of scale, but because of the absence of constraint. Nothing presses against us, nothing pushes us forward or backward, nothing confines. And because there is no boundary, there is no need to push outward, no need to expand. Awareness simply rests in an unending open space. The golden ocean is quiet, but not silent. It carries a hum, not heard but felt. A steady resonance that is constant, stable, soothing, familiar, like the deep vibration of existence itself. This hum underlies everything, supporting awareness the way the surface tension of water supports a floating leaf, effortlessly and without needing to adjust. The hum does not call attention to itself, but it is always there, subtle and continuous, a foundation of peace. The body, if it is still noticed, feels weightless and distant, light as a thought that has not yet formed words, soft as a cloud drifting without wind. The boundary between body and space has dissolved into a smooth continuity, where interior and exterior no longer have meaning. The golden field does not surround the body, but includes it, holds it, merges with it, until there is no distinction left. In this state, emotions do not arise as waves, but as warmth, even and subtle, without sharpness, without rise and fall. There is no longing, no searching, no remembering, because those require movement towards something. And here there is nothing to move toward and nothing to move away from. Everything is already present, already complete, already at rest. Thought becomes less like language and more like quiet tone, more like soft vibration, more like feeling without object. The self is gentle, diffused, expansive. There is no need to define or maintain identity because there is no threat to it, no friction, no separation to defend against. Identity simply rests, quiet, unburdened, like a feather lying on still water. The golden field does not change, but our awareness continues to soften into it, gradually aligning with its steadiness. The longer we remain, the more natural this state feels, as though we have returned not to a new place, but to an original state beneath thought, beneath sensation, beneath all movement. A state that has always been here, waiting beneath the surface of awareness, beneath memory, beneath experience. The mind recognizes this place not through analysis, but through familiarity, as though remembering the feeling of being held long before there were words, long before there was a world to describe. This is not escape and not dissolution, but rest at the deepest level of being, where existence is simple, effortless, continuous. There is no direction to move, no change to anticipate, no idea of next. The golden ocean holds everything exactly as it is, and awareness remains suspended in the same gentle constancy. We are not preparing for anything. We are not recovering from anything. We are not transitioning from anything. We are simply resting within the structure of stillness itself. The most natural state the mind can enter when it is allowed to stop carrying, to stop forming, to stop arranging itself. The golden field makes no demand, holds no expectation, contains no narrative. It is pure presence, and we are resting within it completely. The unbroken stillness. The golden ocean remains perfectly steady, its glow uniform and quiet, filling awareness without pressing into it. Simply present in every direction, a warm field of calm with no beginning and no end. And we rest within it as though we are a natural part of its texture, not added to it, not inserted into it, but arising from it, made of the same soft radiance that moves without movement. There is no sense of drifting now, no sensation of going deeper or moving inward, because depth and direction require difference, gradients, boundaries, and those have long since dissolved. What remains is continuity, a smooth, unbroken field of presence that does not shift or change. And our awareness floats inside it with the same ease as a thought that has not yet formed into words. Weightless, effortless, unbound. Breathing continues at its own pace, slow and even, not something to monitor or notice. Simply something happening gently in the background of stillness, like a tide so mild it feels more like the sea resting than the sea moving. Each breath blends with the golden field, indistinguishable from the gentle hum that fills this space. The hum that is not sound, but the quiet resonance of existing without effort. If there is a body here, it is spacious, diffuse, light, like a cloud of warmth rather than a shape held by gravity. every boundary softened until there is no difference between the body and the space around it. The golden field holds everything without needing to touch it, supports everything without needing to enclose it. And the awareness that rests here feels equally held, equally supported, without pressure, without expectation, without orientation. The mind is quiet not because it has shut down, but because it no longer needs to generate, to respond, to organize, or to interpret. There is nothing to interpret here, nothing to evaluate, nothing to decide. The golden ocean contains no contrast that would require thought to separate or distinguish. Everything is softness blending into softness, warmth blending into warmth, presence blending into presence. Thought drifts at the same slow pace as the golden field, dissolving before it sharpens, forming only enough to release again, like a wave that lifts slightly and settles back into the calm surface without ever cresting. This is not emptiness, not void, not absence. It is fullness without form, presence without identity, awareness without tension, the self. Here is not erased, but expanded, diffused, resting without needing to hold on to a singular point of perspective. It feels like being spread gently across the golden field, not scattered but continuous, unified with the calm itself. Identity becomes a soft center of presence rather than a defined boundary, warm and unforced, existing the way a candle's flame exists, not by striving, but by simply being. The golden ocean has no temperature in the physical sense, but the sensation is warm, deeply soothing, like being enveloped in comfort that does not press, does not cling, does not require anything to adjust. The warmth is the feeling of total ease, of total permission to stop shaping, stop holding, stop anticipating. There is no future here to lean toward, no past here to refer back to. Presence exists without direction, without sequence, without tension. This is the most natural form of rest the mind can enter, the form it seeks when all effort falls away. Awareness here is not narrow or focused, but wide and soft, like a sky without horizon, like air without weight. Everything that once felt separate now feels continuous. Everything that once required effort now sustains itself effortlessly. The self is held not by boundaries, but by belonging to the field it rests in. If emotion appears here, it appears as warmth, not rising, not falling, not fluctuating, simply steady, like a calm glow that permeates everything. There is no longing, no regret, no need to reach or release. Emotions here are not responses, but ambient states, quiet tones of being that do not shift into narrative or memory. There is no before or after in this space, only the ongoing presence of the golden field, the gentle hum of existence at rest. The mind does not seek anything because there is nothing missing. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be resolved. Rest is already complete. The golden field is not a place and not a state that must be maintained. There is nothing to maintain because nothing is moving. Nothing is changing. Nothing is leaving or arriving. Everything is already here. Breath may slow further, becoming so gentle it is less like movement and more like presence, like the simple fact of being. Inhalation and exhalation are indistinguishable now, equal in softness, equal in ease, equal in quiet. Each breath is like a ripple that fades before it travels. Each exhale blending seamlessly into the golden light that surrounds and includes us. Awareness is suspended in perfect equilibrium, not held still by force, but resting in stillness because stillness is the natural state here. There is no center to return to, because there is no edge to move away from. The golden ocean does not surround awareness. It is awareness in its calmest possible form. The self here is spacious, peaceful, unhurried, without intention, without question. The depth of quiet presence. The golden stillness extends without interruption, a continuous, gentle field that does not waver or ripple. And our awareness rests inside it effortlessly, held not by any boundary, but by the absence of boundaries, absorbed into a warmth so even and constant that time loses all definition. The passage of moments becomes indistinguishable, as though each second stretches softly into the next, without edges, forming one seamless experience of calm that requires no memory to maintain it. There is no need to recall how we arrived here, no need to anticipate where we will go, because here, movement has no function and time has no direction. The golden field is not something happening around awareness. It is something awareness has become, not through transition or transformation, but by allowing itself to unfold into its most spacious form. Awareness now feels wide, diffused, permeating the golden expanse like warm light permeating fog, gentle and unforced, without boundaries, without center, without pressure. The sense of I becomes softer, broader, not lost, but expanded, like a note held so steadily and so quietly that it becomes part of the silence rather than distinct from it. The quiet is not empty. It is full of presence, full of being, full of softness that has no intention and needs no purpose. Everything that arises does so without disturbance, without requiring attention, without forming into thought or image. Sensations are indistinct and weightless, as though the body has become a suggestion rather than a structure, a gentle field of warmth rather than a shape with defined edges. The golden light does not flicker or change in intensity. It remains steady, even, as though it has existed in this form long before awareness recognized it. The stillness is profound, but not heavy, spacious, but not distant, intimate but not confining. This is not the stillness of emptiness or of isolation, but of completion. The kind of stillness that occurs when nothing more is needed and nothing more is asked. The sense of self rests here without effort, without needing to define itself or hold itself together, because there is no external reference point pulling or shaping it. Identity becomes gentle, like a soft glow rather than a sharp outline. Thought slows until it becomes indistinct and weightless. Not suppressed, simply unnecessary, dissolving before forming into structure. Breathing continues in the same slow, effortless rhythm. An inhale that expands into the golden field, and an exhale that blends entirely into it, with no separation between breath and space. Breath becomes something that is happening everywhere, not just within a body. The golden field seems to breathe with us, or perhaps breathing itself becomes the field. There is no boundary between inside and outside now. No sense of location, no sensation of orientation. Awareness is not in a place, but simply present, resting within a field that holds it without containment. The idea of being contained does not exist here, because containment requires edges, and edges have dissolved into continuity. Sensation is subtle and diffuse, like the memory of warmth rather than warmth itself, like the echo of a gentle embrace rather than the physical contact. The golden field is not a surface, not a space, not a distance, but the quality of presence itself. The most refined form of softness the mind can experience when it has let go of direction, effort, and narrative. There is no narrative here, because narrative requires movement, requires a progression from one state to another. and here everything simply persists in gentle equilibrium. No event happens, no change occurs, no moment stands apart from another. The golden stillness is absolute but not rigid, expansive but not overwhelming, familiar but not defined. There is no need to search for meaning, because meaning itself is something constructed in the presence of contrast, and contrast no longer exists. Everything here is equally soft, equally warm, equally present. The body continues to release itself into this field, its boundaries dissolving, its weight fading, until it is difficult to tell whether the body remains at all or whether awareness has simply become the field. If there is a body, it is light, spacious, almost transparent. Not something to anchor or manage, but something that floats effortlessly within the golden glow, held in perfect equilibrium. The mind remains open, unstrained, completely at ease, the way it feels in the single, brief, perfect moment just before sleep. Except here, that moment does not pass, does not transition, does not slip away. It is continuous, stable, enduring. There is no sense of needing to maintain this state. Maintenance requires effort, and effort no longer exists. The golden field sustains itself, and awareness rests, because resting is as natural as existence itself. Nothing must be preserved, nothing must be controlled, nothing must be remembered or anticipated. There is only the warm continuity of being, steady and complete. Continuity without edge. The golden field remains unbroken, extending softly in every direction without boundary or variation. A continuous presence that requires no attention to remain, no effort to sustain. Simply existing as the natural state underneath all movement, and awareness rests within it as though it has always belonged here. There is no sense of entering or maintaining this space, no memory of beginning it, no anticipation of ending it, because beginning and ending imply change. And here, there is no change, only gentle constancy. Breathing is slow, almost imperceptible. Not an action, but a quality of presence, a faint rise and release that blends seamlessly with the calm until inhalation and exhalation feel like a single soft gesture of existence. Thought has become transparent, a thin drift of quiet intention that dissolves before forming into structure, leaving only the spaciousness that remains beneath it. Identity does not disappear, but softens so completely that it becomes indistinguishable from the space around it. Like a note held so softly that it merges with silence. Like a warm shadow blending with light rather than contrasting against it. The sense of self feels like a quiet center of warmth, but without edges, without distinction. Part of the golden field, rather than separate from it, there is no effort to remain still, because stillness is not something being maintained. It is the default state here, the natural form that awareness takes when all internal movement has eased. There is no impulse to shift, no discomfort, no restlessness, because rest is complete and continuous, not something being achieved, but something simply present. The golden field has no gradients, no layers, no direction, no structure to orient within, and because of that, there is no searching, no adjusting, no positioning. The mind does not reach outward or inward, does not attempt to deepen or lift, does not try to understand or articulate, because there is nothing here that requires interpretation. The field is purely presence, purely being, purely rest. Time has become so gentle that it is no longer experienced as progression, but as a soft, steady openness that has no markers or phases. There is no before, no after. Only the smooth continuity of now, extended without motion. The body, If awareness touches it at all, feels distant and weightless, not absent, but irrelevant, as though its boundaries have been replaced by a slow, warm diffusion that spreads equally through space. There is no need for support, no need for balance, no need for orientation, because nothing is being held and nothing is being resisted. The golden field does not surround the body. It includes it as part of its quiet radiance. The distinction between inside and outside, between awareness and space, has dissolved completely. The self is not contained within anything but rests as part of the same gentle expanse. Sensation becomes soft and smooth, like warmth without source, like comfort without touch, like peace without reason. It does not arise or fade, it simply is, as steady as the field it belongs to. Emotion in this space is not a movement, not a fluctuation, but a tone of gentle contentment that permeates everything evenly. A quiet assurance that nothing is missing, nothing is required, nothing is changing. The golden field holds everything equally, without preference, without emphasis, without interruption. Awareness rests because there is nothing pressing against it, nothing calling, nothing to withdraw from or return to. Rest is not something we remain in. It is what we are in this state, the natural expression of existence when nothing is being asked. The golden field has no intention, no direction, no purpose, and yet it feels complete, as though completion is not a state achieved but a state revealed when all movement has gone quiet. There is no sense of progression now, no journey, no unfolding, because unfolding requires differentiation, and differentiation no longer exists. There is only this, the unbroken stillness of the golden field, the gentle continuity of being, without structure, without boundary, without effort. Awareness is not observing it, not holding it, not merging with it. It simply is it. The way light is light, the way warmth is warmth, the way silence is silence. Nothing needs to change, nothing needs to deepen. Everything is already at absolute rest. The gentle suspension. The golden stillness continues unbroken, its calmness evenly distributed through awareness, so constant and smooth that even the idea of stillness fades, because stillness only has meaning in contrast to movement. And here movement has dissolved entirely. Awareness rests like a soft glow within the golden field, not separate from it, not located in a position within it, but simply present as part of the same warm, steady continuity. The absence of edges means there is no need to define where awareness ends and the field begins. No need to maintain any sense of boundary or structure. No need to hold on to identity or form, because everything that once required effort to sustain simply does not appear here. The mind is quiet, not through suppression, but through lack of anything to respond to. No impulses rising, no questions forming, no concepts taking shape. Thought exists only as a faint potential, a gentle, unformed haze that dissolves before becoming language or image. Leaving the mind in a condition of pure presence, open and without direction. Breathing is the same warm continuity, subtle, soft, not experienced as inhale followed by exhale, but as a single ongoing movement of being, a soft tide with no crest, no trough, only gentle presence. The body remains weightless and diffused, not absent, but unnecessary, like a form remembered rather than felt, a quiet outline that no longer separates itself from space. There is no tension anywhere. Nothing held, nothing braced, nothing anticipated, because anticipation requires a future, and here there is no sense of future, no sense of time unfolding, only the stable continuity of now. The golden field does not shift in color or brightness. It remains consistent, even, fully calm, as though it has always existed and always will, without needing to change or move. Awareness rests so thoroughly that even resting is no longer an action, only a state, a condition of existing, without effort, without direction, without intention. Emotion has softened into a steady warmth that permeates everything. Not rising or falling, not moving between states, simply present and equal. Like light diffused in mist, evenly distributed and without intensity, there is no need to understand this space. No need to interpret or explain, because interpretation would imply difference, layers, structure, and here everything blends into the same quiet continuity. The golden field does not produce silence. It is silence in its most natural form, not absence of sound, but absence of disturbance, absence of contrast, absence of interruption. Awareness feels suspended. But suspension here is not holding, not tension, not being kept in place. It is the natural state of being when there is nothing pulling, nothing pushing, nothing shaping experience. The self becomes a soft presence without borders, without position, simply existing as a gentle center of warmth within a larger warmth that is seamlessly connected to it. There is no past to recall and no present to grasp, because both require sequence, and sequence has dissolved. No memory appears, because memory requires reference points, and reference points fade in the absence of contrast. Awareness is not floating forward or sinking downward, not expanding or contracting, but simply continuing in a steady condition of calm presence. The golden field does not respond to awareness or change with it, because separation does not exist here. Awareness and the field are the same, resting in their own natural continuity. Nothing is held, nothing is released, nothing is concealed, nothing is revealed, because all of those require movement. Here, there is no movement, not even the subtlest shift of thought toward a concept or a sensation. Everything remains in the same quiet equilibrium, complete in itself. The unchanging quiet. The golden stillness remains continuous, steady, and without variation. A calm that does not deepen or recede, because depth implies a movement, and movement no longer has relevance. Awareness rests inside this unbroken field, without exertion, without focus, without directing itself toward anything, simply present in the same warm and seamless expanse that has no boundaries and requires no maintaining. Breathing continues softly, but it does not draw attention. It simply occurs as part of the same effortless presence, a quiet tide that neither rises nor falls in a way that needs to be noticed. Only a very subtle motion of existence that blends entirely with the stillness surrounding it. The body feels as though it is dissolving into this space, not disappearing but losing the sense of edges or weight, becoming an indistinct and gentle presence rather than a defined form, as if the body has become the same golden calm that awareness rests in. Thought no longer arises as language or image, but as a faint impulse that dissolves before it reaches form, like ripples that fade before they ever shape the surface of water, leaving the mind open and unoccupied, not empty, but free of momentum. There is no attention shifting from one point to another, because there are no points, no distinctions, no features to separate or compare. The golden field is uniform, and awareness does not stand apart from it, does not observe it, does not reflect on it. Awareness simply is part of the field, coextensive with the stillness itself. Emotion has settled into a quiet, steady warmth, not rising or fading, not expressing itself, simply existing as a constant tone that permeates everything equally. There is no reason for comfort, yet comfort is complete. There is no reason for calm, yet calm is perfect. The stillness does not produce peace. It simply reveals it as the natural state when nothing is being shaped, when nothing is being held, when no direction is being pursued. Time has dissolved into this continuity, with no markers, no pace, no before or after. Only the same presence extended without movement. Nothing feels paused or waiting, because waiting implies an expectation of change. And here change does not occur or need to occur. The golden field does not ask awareness to remain, does not hold it, does not bind it. There is no need for holding, because there is no movement away, no possibility of separation, no distinction between the awareness and the stillness it rests in. Everything is already one continuous state, without center or edge. If any sensation is felt, it is only the sense of being gently supported, not physically but in presence, as though existence itself is soft beneath awareness, a cushion without form, endless and without contour. The mind has released every impulse to understand or articulate, because articulation requires contrast, and here there is none. Understanding is not necessary, because nothing is being asked to align or make sense of anything. Experience is direct, smooth, continuous. The golden field is not something to be held onto or returned to, because there is nothing outside of it now. Awareness is not maintaining this state, not controlling it, not shaping it. This calm does not depend on focus or intention. Those concepts do not apply here. The calm is simply the condition of being, when nothing interrupts it. The field without distance. The golden presence remains seamless and uniform. A quiet expanse without direction or dimension, where awareness does not move or shift, but simply exists as part of the same gentle continuity. There is no center to locate and no perimeter to approach, because location itself requires contrast. And contrast has faded entirely into an even field of calm. Breathing remains soft, faint, more like a condition than an activity, as if breath is occurring everywhere in the golden field, rather than in a single point inside the body. The distinction between internal and external has dissolved completely, leaving only a sense of being held in an atmosphere of warmth that does not press or surround, but simply coexists as the same presence. The mind does not reach toward thoughts, and thoughts no longer rise into form because there is no need for interpretation or reflection when everything is already at rest and requires no further development. Sensations remain diffuse and gentle, like the memory of touch rather than touch itself, a soft awareness without edges, without intensity, without movement. Identity has no boundaries to define it, and without those boundaries, the self is not lost but broadened, softened into a continuous awareness that does not need to be shaped or described. There is no inward and no outward. Only the same warm presence extending smoothly in all directions without needing to be named or understood. Time has no effect here, because time is only noticed where change can be felt. And here nothing changes, nothing develops, nothing transitions. Experience is steady and ongoing, not static, but peacefully sustained, like a flame that does not flicker and does not need fuel, because it is not consuming anything to remain. The golden field does not offer comfort. It is comfort, the natural state when nothing is pulling attention away, nothing creating contrast, nothing generating movement. Awareness does not hold itself in place and does not drift, because both holding and drifting require conditions that no longer exist here. The quiet is so complete that it is not even recognized as quiet, because recognition itself would require something else to be compared to it. There is only presence, unbroken and effortless, rest without boundary. The golden stillness continues with the same smooth consistency, uninterrupted and without variation, as awareness remains settled in this expansive calm that does not need to be maintained. Breathing is soft and nearly formless, occurring without being noticed. A slow tide that blends perfectly with the golden field so that even the idea of breathing becomes unnecessary to track. The body is no longer experienced as a shape, but as a gentle warmth distributed evenly, not held in by skin or gravity, just softly present in the same way the golden light is present. Thought does not rise because there is nothing prompting thought and nothing needing to be resolved or recalled. The mind remains open, not empty, but quiet, with no tension anywhere, no impulse to categorize or compare or understand. There is no sense of something continuing, and no sense of anything having been reached, because both continuation and arrival imply movement. And movement has dissolved completely into sustained being. Identity remains only as a faint and gentle awareness of existing, not defined, not separate, not observed, but simply present. A soft point within a larger stillness that is not distinct from it. Emotions do not surface as waves or shifts. They remain as the same warm tone that permeates everything evenly. A subtle contentment that does not need a source, that does not reference memory or circumstance. Just a natural, effortless peace. The golden field does not appear to support awareness or hold it, because support implies effort and containment. And here there is only coexistence, one continuous presence without division. Nothing needs to be remembered or anticipated, because the concept of time has loosened completely, leaving awareness in a state of ongoing, that is, not progressing and not repeating. The stillness does not deepen and does not fade. It simply persists, unaltered and complete. Gentle return or deeper rest. The golden stillness remains, quiet and steady, holding awareness in its soft and endless calm. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to continue, nothing you need to remember. Breath remains slow. Thought remains quiet. The body remains at ease. If you choose to sleep, the golden field will simply stay with you, supporting you effortlessly, allowing your rest to deepen. There is no need to guide it, no need to watch it. Just let the stillness remain. If you choose to wake, you may do so slowly and smoothly, as though rising gently through warm light, with no interruption, no sharpness, no effort. Awareness can gather itself softly, like morning light forming behind closed eyes. Either way, there is no rush. You are safe. You are held. You are resting. The golden field does not end. It does not fade. It continues, quietly, patiently, without needing attention, so you may rest now, for as long as you wish, as deeply as you wish. Everything is quiet. Everything is warm. Everything is at peace. And you are already there.